Hello there fellow NPCs, I am Scythe, and today we're going to continue to play the letter. And we have, quite literally, just received a phone call from one of the other officers at the police department, telling us that something has happened to Zack, and we really should come in to check in on him, because this is not something that can be taken over the phone. We are just now leaving the Crawl pub, or whatever it was called. And we haven't actually said if we're leaving with Isabella or if Ashton is leaving on his own. But yeah, in just a few moments, we will see the scattered remains that is Zachary Steele. Now, let's go. Driving off with my body on autopilot, minding dazed and afraid. Utterly afraid that I have lost someone in my life again. The whole precinct is in uproar. Officers move in and out from the main work hall with rapid steps. Phones blare loudly from the comms room, and calls are being made from the dispatch area. The rest who has been left standing watch the whole commotion with a nervous energy. From further back, the chief's voice booms over the uproar. I'm not even shocked. He may appear like the bumbling fool on first glance, but he has kept this city safe for years. For something to happen in his jurisdiction, inside his own precinct, right under his nose, he has the right to be royally pissed.
What do you mean you don't know? Don't give me that shite, Sergeant! How can one person, slip past you? You can't even keep an eye on one man!
What does this mean? He's not saying, how could you let this happen? How could a man die under your watch? He's saying, how could a man get past you? Are you telling me that Zack survived? No, we got that memory fragment. He should be dead. His statement gives me pause. Am I wrong? Did Zack escape somehow? I'm not condoning it. Neither do I believe Zack's capable of doing, let alone thinking of it. But if it's what happened, I'll be equally as cross as the chief. This won't help his case. This will only complicate things with Wright and put the both of us in a tight spot. I won't be able to help him once red tape prevents me from doing so. Yet, a hint of relief still washes over me as I walk closer to my boss, mentally preparing myself for whatever reprimand he is about to dish out.
What's happening, Chief?
Except he merely glances at me with an inscrutable expression. Oh no, he has a sad face. Although, if I'm going to read deeper into it, I'll say it's the closest expression he can get to shooting me a pitying look. For the first time in my years in the force, I find myself wishing to hear a reprimand from him. Whatever that stare means, it can't be good. Coupled with the officer's Ren's tone this morning, it does nothing to calm the uneasy feeling in me. Fuck. Boss even seems relieved to see me. After the last few exchanges we've had these past 2 weeks, you'll think the man doesn't want to see me right now.
About time you got in here.
About time? Ooh. We need to find Zack. It's not, I'm sorry to tell you this.
I got caught up in something. Sorry, Chief. What's going on? Is there a problem with Zack?
He hesitates for a second, before his frown eases with a long dragged out exhale.
I'm not sure if you can call this a problem, Frey, but I'll let you be the judge of that.
Why is it so much mystique around this? Let's just say that he's dead or say he's escaped. It's one of the two. Tell me what's going on.
Follow me.
Oh.
And you, I want your full report about this by the end of the day. It better be good or you are kissing that badge goodbye.
The officer is addressing. The sergeant, a man in his late 20s to 30s, who's transferred here last year, shrinks back in his chair. I don't quite remember his name. I've only seen him quite a number of times since I'm off and out of the precinct. But if my memory serves me right, he's the guy currently assigned to the late night shift, at least until this month's end. Depending on how bad this is, he'll either be given a verbal warning, a suspension, or a dismissal. It's not a position I envy him for being in right now. Although, There's really not much time left to feel sorry for him either. As soon as Chief done roasting the other officers behind the guy, he gestures for me to follow. Straight towards the precinct's holding cells. Here we go, here we go. It's as a switch has been turned off. The moment he steps away from the small crowd, the entire main lobby goes silent. For one reason or another, it feels like everyone's simply waiting for the metaphorical hammer to fall. Even their stares, before we turn to an adjacent hallway, exude the same pitying vibe as the Chief's. All of which I might have easily ignored any other day. People here can be a bunch of gossip mongers. It's only the significant glance the Chief throws my way, before pushing the door open, that stops me. Not that there is even a need to mull over it, because the moment he swings it open, it strikes me. A sharp, dry, metallic scent. Metallic scent, yeah, that's blood. God damn it. I've already grown familiar of it over the years. It's another one of those things you'll have to get used to once they start handing you the homicide cases. Now, just a whiff of it tells enough for me to gauge the severity of the situation. This isn't the festering smell you get when someone in a room has a flesh wound. It lingers far too much in the air, hangs far too heavily even where I stand. No, this is what you get when someone has spilled blood all over the room. This is what you get when there's a large pool of it. This is what you get when no one bothers with cleanup for a few hours because forensic work isn't done yet. This is what you get when there's most certainly a dead body somewhere. I don't want to think of the who yet. There are simply too many possibilities. Too many variables unaccounted for here to form a single conclusion. However, when the Chief of Luxburn Police refuses to provide answers, a chill easily fills every nerve in my body. Almost in a trance, I follow after him without asking anything or saying another word. For the first time in years, I feel like a damn rookie again. Fresh out of training, newly instated, and still on my first homicide case, except I didn't balk at the idea of seeing a dead body then. Now, as light flashes fleetingly from the far end of the hall, while CSI documents the scene and the forensic team gather evidence, the only thing my instinct tells me is to run. As far from here as possible, as if I don't have 10 years of detective work under my belt. It echoes inside my head like a mantra.
It's because you didn't listen.
It's all your fault.
Why won't you believe me?
Over and over and over. Rising and ebbing, a tidal wave of thoughts and murmurs surging and crashing against my ear. More deafening than the drum of my heartbeats in shallow gasps. Churning and heaving, till the cell finally comes into view and I'm afforded a clearer look of what's inside. Oh! That is gruesome! Death knell! Don't know what that means. Whoo! Wow! Yeah, I can show this picture, but I'm gonna censor it. Let's just say that that story about someone who got their own eyes out in the last episode, that is what's happening here. Someone goshed Zach's eye out. Ice, plural, out. The whole world stands still. In one single moment, every noise, every smell, every person in the room all ceases to matter the second my eyes land on his prone form. There's only red. 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 Blood everywhere, on the floor where a copious amount of it has pooled, on the walls smeared and every crack and tile his hands can reach. On his face and shoulders, dripping from every gash and tear, flowing from the hollow gap where his eyes should have been.
The custodial officer found him when they brought him breakfast. It was too late. He was already dead by that time. Some 3 to 4 hours, according to the blokes from forensics.
There had been a struggle, based alone on the smear pattern left on the bars and floor, but only so much as this small cell will allow him. I can already imagine how it went down. He was likely left with no other choice, cornered like an animal at the mercy of his killer. In this cell, there would have been no escape. The only thing he would have been able to do is shout for help. Perhaps the same plea written on floor closest to him. The same one left written on the pavement close to Rebecca's remains. Help me. Help me. Help me. Help that he didn't even get. And it calls for a whole lot of questions. Not the house. Logic has already flown out the window from the start. She has the means to get to us. Get to all of us. Bars and walls notwithstanding. The whys though.
No one heard him? Not even one from the guys on duty last night?
Because Scythe's not an idiot, he would have asked for help. He would have yelled.
Oh, one of them did, but thought nothing of it.
Then why didn't they do anything? He's just a room away!
They must have assumed your friend's just asking for attention. Henry wasn't clear on the details when I questioned him about it. You've been serving in this precinct for more than a decade, though. You should be aware by now how rowdy the folks we detain here can become. But that's not the only problem we have here.
Yeah. Who is it, is their thinking? And how did they get in?
Someone got in and out of this place without anyone noticing. Even the surveillance footage is a bust. Tech's going over it now, but I don't think we'll get anything from it.
Oh, we can check it.
The media will have a field day when they learn of this fray. Keep it mum for now. I'll let you know because he's your... well, you deserve to know. The poor bloke's your friend, after all. I just don't want the commissioner hearing of this before I can tell him anything. Or at least, until we've figured out how the butcher got in.
You think this is an inside job?
What else can it be? It's either that or we have a damn good criminal mastermind walking this city.
Really? I want to say something. I want to tell him that this isn't what he's thinking. Yet all this time the Anslem Butcher never existed. This is a curse the people of this city has been laughing up for centuries. The way things are going, we'll simply find ourselves at a dead's end. Chances are, they'll just have to find an innocent chap to blame for everything. Like what Wright did to Zack. A scapegoat for the things they can't explain. But how am I supposed to tell anyone, let alone get them to believe my words? I'll sound like an idiot. They'll likely brush me off the same way I've done with Isabella's warnings. In the end, clenching my fist at my sides and gritting my teeth is all I am able to do. Zack's lifeless face stares back at me, and accusations in them, sharp and searing. An expression that etches itself deep within my mind once the first officer waves us both out of the room. Another ghastly image I will never be able to forget. Just like Rebecca's bleeding corpse on the pavement. Another memory that will probably haunt me until my last dying breath. Another regret. Chief dismisses me barely an hour later, sending me off with nothing but a light pat on another sorry expression. But let's check the journal. I might have 2 updates. Don't know. No, just 1 update. A phone call interrupted Ashton's conversation with G, although the officer calling him had only given him vague details. Gut feeling told him that something had gone wrong at the mere mention of Zachary. The detective hurried to the precinct, expecting the worst. I'm not entirely sure if that's supposed to be reassuring. There's plenty more to do. A lot of people to call and tell, and all of it falls on me. No matter how awful the news I bring will be, it'll be better if this comes from a person this family and friends know. Still, my body refuses any notion of movement. The thought of telling Isabella about this, she'll definitely be devastated. I don't even want to imagine what his grandparents will say. They're good, kind, warm-hearted people who has given me another family even without me asking for it. They welcome me, invited me every time, easily reminded me of what having a whole home feels like. I thought I've already forgotten it. Zack's older sister will definitely show up in my apartment though, ring my doorbell and punch me as soon as I open the door, just like the last time. She's right. I'm the kind of person who brings nothing but trouble, She's known all along that Zack should have stopped hanging out with me, warning him several times. Zack has often laughed her concerns off. I used to think this because he enjoys the friendship as much as I do, despite a huge part of it going unspoken between us throughout the years. Now he's dead. Another one. Another person brutally taken from me. I thought I had more time. I thought it'd be safe. I acted too late. And in the deafening silence of my car, the only thing I'm able to do is close my eyes, rest my forehead against the cold surface of the steering wheel and scream. Scream until my throat bleeds raw. Oh, that's heartbreaking. The precinct was in uproar when Ashton arrived. After giving a few stern words to one of the junior officers, LPD Chief Inspector quietly led him to where the holding cells were. And there, at the end of the hall, scream until my lungs burn. Scream until all that remains are the guilt and tears. The crawl bar, yeah. The song hangs lower when I drive back to the pub and drag myself inside, still too unsure how to break the news. Around this time, the patrons usually start to trickle into the main lounge until it reaches a peak around midnight. Today, however, it remains thin. But considering what day it isn't too worrisome for the kind of business G runs. He has always complained about the lack of decent crowd on the week start, although he doesn't really begrudge his customers for it. No one wants to start the week with a bad case of hangover after all, even him. Which makes the concerned look he gives me come off a bit too odd. With the kind of danger we're in and after what happened to Zack, this swiftly puts me on the edge, even before I can fully process and analyze the scene in front of me.
Something wrong, G?
G hums, but there's an undertone of annoyance in it despite his casual and open movements. And only after he finished wiping a tumbler and carefully settling it face down on the table does he give me an answer. The way he stares back at me honestly makes me squirm. It feels like I'm being stared down by my primary school teacher for sleeping in class again.
Nothing much. Monday's still a slow day for this place. But you might want to check on your friends, kid.
Oh, what did Isabella do?
Looks like someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed while you were out.
Another question forms in my head along with a small, confused frown. Though before a single syllable slips past my mouth, he gestures his head on the far side of the main lounge. Isabella has settled on the table set in the corner, in deep thought and with a scowl on her face. From the looks of it, it appears I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Is a complete understatement. Turns out sleep isn't just what some of us need. Even G appears to understand it. In spite of his effort to look as unconcerned as possible, there's a tense set on his shoulders. A nervous edge lingers in his eyes, as it occasionally flickers over Isabella. He doesn't want to deal with this, especially at the start of another busy week. Not that I know how. I don't even know what put her in such a bad mood. But the imploring gaze G directs at me leaves me with no other choice. It almost feels like he's guilting me into doing something about it. I hate that it's working.
You know how I run this pub, kid. No fist fights, no cat fights, no people in sullen moods, only good booze, bad puns and off-key singing. Go fix it before it turns into something chaotic.
It's probably not as petty if Isabella's already in that state, but I give him a nod nevertheless.
Sorry about this, G.
He hums something under his breath for an answer and waves me off, turning away and returning to his work without another word. Even with the lack of a sizable crowd, he likes to keep busy. We're the same in that regard. Can't remain still, always has to stay moving, doing something, thinking, whatever keeps the brain at work. I leave him to it shortly after. Part of me wants to thank thank him for all the trouble he has taken over for people he barely even know. Once this is over, I should probably find some way. In the meantime, I have this immediate problem to fix. Gotta get to this before it turns into a shitstorm. There's a strange lull in this area of the pub. People continue to trickle out instead of in, and this time, only 2 tables remain occupied. Soon, these people too will be gone, and the whole place will be devoid of annoyance. Frankly, its current state already lends the place an entirely different vibe. Along with the soothing strum of strings and the steady beat of drums playing overhead, there's a calming sense to this. A far cry from times I've been here before. And perhaps it's for this reason and why Isabella has chosen to this place to retreat. She sits quietly in the furthest corner of the room, in one of the tables set right beside the windows. G usually keeps the curtains closed around this hour, but a small portion of it has been pulled back, revealing the busy streets outside. The late afternoon light spills right through it, outlining her small form and pooling on the surface of the table, where both her arms rest. In her hands, she flips a piece of folded paper, turning it from one side to the other without any purpose. The letter. A small frown creases her forehead while she stares at it, yet there is something oddly tranquil in the picture she has unknowingly painted. Something I can't bring myself to disturb, if only for a few seconds. It's one of those moments again. The rare ones. The ones where she's too still, too quiet, and complete opposite of her usual self. But it's these that often leave a mark. Not her cheery disposition or her lively attitude. But these short, few seconds of wordless silence, when the softest sigh and the slightest movement sing louder. The smallest minuscule things that tell you about the person and her strength more than any words can express. It's these that carve a vivid memory, no matter how brief it lasts. And it breaks soon enough. The second I pry the letter off her hands and flop down on the empty seat next to her. She glares at me, and nodding just like that, all of it melts away. Gone in the stillness, replaced quickly by the teasing and friendly jibes. Back again to what we're used to, what's easy, what's familiar, where every truth we hope to convey regrettably goes unsaid between us.
You're going to destroy an important piece of evidence if you keep doing that, Belle.
This time, however, no retort comes from her. Without the letter to glare daggers at, she turns on her hands, now clenched tight in front of her. But she is far from angry. A bit upset, maybe? Who wouldn't be? This curse has already gone far too long. Has already taken one too many people from us. Regardless, Isabella doesn't seem like she'll start shouting at me, at least compared to every other people I've aggravated, intentional or otherwise. Some light talk may just do the trick and coax her out of this mood.
Come on. If you keep staring at the table like that, you're going to bore a hole on it. I really don't want to OG a new table. He'll pick the most expensive one and leave me begging on the streets.
She levels a quick glance at me, her expression dry and impassive enough to drain every color out of the room. It's as if I've just told her a terrible joke and she's expecting there'll be more of it. Really now. She needs to give me more credit than that. My jokes are funny when I want them to be.
And I really don't care. I'd even take pictures and post them online. Go away, Ash. I don't want to talk right now.
What is she feeling? First I thought she might be upset that we left without her, but this feels different. Yet it sounds half-hearted at best. Like what's happening has already sapped every bit of energy in her, and all that's left are the words. Pretty soon, those two will lose their meaning and leave a hollow shell in their wake. It's already unusual to see her like this. Everything has already gone to shit. I'd like at least this one thing to stay normal. So somehow we manage. We continue for the better half of the hour, talking, joking, with her short feeble responses and banter that never goes anywhere. but it's enough. In the grand scheme of things, amidst the chaos and death shadowing over us, it's these little inconsequential moments that matter. It's her smile, her laughter, when it finally rings, easy and free of her burdens.
Okay, I have another one.
I don't want to hear it, Ashton. Go away.
No, really, listen. I know someone who talks like an owl.
Will you leave me alone if I bite and ask who?
I pause. And then she frowns and realization slowly dawns on her. Confusion flashes fleetingly across her face before eventually settling on a grimace.
Oh.
Suddenly she hugs her arms closer to herself and looks away, perhaps in her best attempt to stay angry. To no avail. In a matter of seconds, her shoulders shake with laughter she is trying to contain.
You're awful and I really hate you! Just leave!
It's contagious, her mirth. Soon I'm joining her in it, briefly forgetting every problem that has piled up and continues to weigh down on us. Laughing without reservation or care, until only a familiar warmth lingers, once both our amusements ebbs away. Somehow, with her, these things have always come easy.
Feeling better?
A little. You're still lame.
But you're laughing right now.
So, do you already know that he's dead, or are we gonna break you down again right after we cheered you up?
Only because your humor is terrible.
Right. Keep telling yourself that. I know it's funny. And you know what? If you've kept frowning like that, your face might have cracked. That would have been really messy and ugly.
If glares can kill, with the one she sends my way, I'll probably be dead by now. Seeing it directed my way, it takes only a few quick seconds for me to realize how she might have always also taken my statements. How wrong and rude it might have sounded in her ears, however unintentional it is. I've never been good with words, but that's never an acceptable excuse, is it? Suddenly, taking the brunt of her anger seems less complicated than correcting or explaining myself. Nevertheless, I try.
What? Crap. Damn it, that was so not what I meant. I was just saying you look better when you're smiling.
Her glare doesn't even wane. In fact, I think it intensified, like the brewing storm. In the face of it, under the sharpness of her stare and her annoyance, I do what any person with a good sense of self-preservation does. Keep my mouth shut and shift my attention elsewhere. The crowd outside looks very interesting today. Maybe I should...
Thanks, Ash.
She utters all of it in a voice too small, too quiet. But when I turn to her, only those words, her gratitude, resonate throughout the whole room. Not the soft clinking of silverware somewhere, nor the last strains of music fading into silence above us. Instead, it's the meaning behind her gaze, as she holds mine, that lingers. Steady, unflinching and unopened. In the same way she looked at me all those years ago, with bright eyes and an expression softening into a tender smile. I didn't understand it then. How easy it is for her to wear her heart on her sleeve. How she never shies away from expressing herself, even among people she barely knows. How she can go through everything without losing herself. Now it's among the hundreds, the thousands that hang unspoken between us. Trivial little things with words still too big to put into words. Either because it's too early, or because there's never really a proper time. For now though, this'll do. Until the moment itself dwindles. Until reality pulls us back in, reminding us of the things we've set aside in its favor.
What was that about earlier? You look like you're about to wage war on that letter.
Oh, it's nothing. You probably won't like it when you hear it.
Maybe. You haven't said anything yet, so how am I supposed to decide how to react?
Stop being dense, boy. A small frown returns to her face. Although it lacks the same anger from just a few minutes ago, the bitterness stays. Now there's also uncertainty. It takes another minute until she speaks again. This time she doesn't meet my eye.
I was just thinking... Maybe maybe we should go back to the mansion.
Yep, that was Ashton's thought too, wasn't it? Blood freezes in my veins. Immediately, before I can even think further on what to say, my mouth's moving. A disapproval ready at the tip of my tongue.
Isabella, you know that's...
I know, Ash. I just thought we'd find something in there. That if I go back, we'll get the answers we need. I found the letter there, so maybe, right?
It's not that I don't agree with her. Hell, I've been considering the same thing. It's the only lead we have after all. But it's not going to be a simple walk in the park. Who knows what we might find in there. If I bring her with me, I won't be able to guarantee her safety. She'll be in even greater danger. Hence, alone. If there's a need to go back to that accursed place, I'm doing it on my own. Whether she agrees with this plan is inconsequential. With Zack and Rebecca gone, her well-being is my top priority, and I'm not just about to drag her into there with me. So I tell her as much, despite the determination and desperation in her eyes. Anything to keep her safe. So here's the thing. It's dangerous. It's obviously gonna give us a plus with Isabella. I can't let you do that. It's gonna give us a minus. Because I can't let you do that is Ashton infantilizing Isabella. While it's dangerous, it's simply warning her this is going to be dangerous. But I can't let you do that says you are incapable of doing this. I have to protect you. And honestly, I can't let you do that. It's dangerous. But at the same time, that's an interesting point. They did say, Ashton did say that something bad always happens when the people isn't with him. So we should try to get her with us. But that doesn't really answer this question though. I don't like the overprotective character, and I don't think I played into that so far, so I'm gonna go with it's dangerous.
Forget it, Belle. You're not going back to that mansion.
Oh no, that was minus. Huh. Did I read something wrong here?
But Ash, what about...
This isn't up for debate. Do you really think they'll just let you in? Do you really think they'll give a damn if you walk in there carrying that stupid letter of all things?
Oh, they will.
No, but there has to be something we can tell them. Ash, they were with me during the open house. They have to know. They're in as much trouble as we are. They're living in that place. That ghost woman came from there. Both her and the letter. Something's in that house, Ash. And whatever it hides might be the only thing that'll get us out of this mess.
All right. Suppose you do find an answer there. What happens? Let's say that by some dumb luck, you got inside and found something. I don't even have to bring up what they did to Zack. In fact, what they'll do to you is the least of our problems. What if you see her again? What if she goes after you? What are you going to do?
It's not like we have any other choice. Besides, I'm pretty sure you've already thought of the same thing. Admit it.
That doesn't mean I'm going to let you run straight into trouble. What you're planning to do is risky. For you. Give it up, Isabella.
For you. Really emphasizing that you are the one who's going to be hurt, not me. Wow, that's bad.
Zack's already gone. And if you...
Yeah. We hadn't told her yet. Realization comes way too late and my throat closes up as soon as I realize what has just slipped out of my mouth. It was supposed to be a speech, damn it. Words carefully picked to ease people into the idea, especially her, who has always seen Zack as the decent older brother she never had, as family. The way her expression shifts from terror to disbelief then to anguish makes the horrible lump in my throat feel more unpleasant. There's a sorrow in it, palpable enough that the meaning of what I've said sinks in, a pain I can't even hope to understand, one that we'll all deal with in our own ways. I can't even bring myself to look her straight in the eye. Unexpectedly, Isabella merely clams up. No resistance. No further argument like I've come to expect from her. She doesn't even shed a single tear. Uncharacteristic. Just a silence that stretches far too thin, till the air in the whole room grows awkward and suffocating. A standstill that gets us nowhere. Although, if there's one thing our talk has wonderfully succeeded at, it's making me feel like a total asshole and a hypocrite. And I am, considering my plans tonight. Sure, I can tell her, but what good would it do? I do intend to tell G before leaving tonight. He has to know, if he's going to be keeping an eye on her for me. One person is already enough, however. Hell, simply letting someone in on the plan makes me iffy. Broadening the circle and revealing too much would just cause another pointless concern. But someone has to be aware, at least of where I'm heading off to, in case things don't pan out. Expect the worst, even if I've only intended to do a quick survey of the place. In my own words, risky. Isabella doesn't need to be burdened with the worry my entire scheme entails. I like to think that, yes, to some extent she understands, even if she does not entirely agree with me. The dilemma's clear in her. Otherwise, her scowl wouldn't have a deeper set to it. Her lips wouldn't be pressed in a thin line, or her hands would no longer be balled into fists. She would have pushed that argument. If she doesn't, and I know she has no lack of things to say. Maybe it's because she has already thought of the same thing. Maybe my words have made her come to her senses. Either way, it's best that we simply leave it here for now. I've already said enough. Without another word, I stand up. At the same time, footsteps shuffle from the pub's entrance and cheerful chatter suddenly fills the room as a group of people enters. Damn it, I thought maybe Maria McCullough was coming in here. Because, honestly, I think she does hold important information that the letter per se isn't the curse. That is just something 3 idiot high schoolers did as a prank. The curse is still in the house. Anyone entering the house is cursed. It's not about the letter. It's all the distraction I need. Muttering an excuse, I beat and hastily exit out of the main lounge and leave her on her own, despite the disappointed look on her face. Before Isabella can say what she's been mulling over. Before the last imploring glance she directs my way forces me to change my mind. It's another lasting image that firmly etches itself into my memory. One that spurs the conscience, among other things. I just hope I won't regret what I've chosen for myself tonight. Galway's Shawl Monday night crowd, although small and barely occupies a quarter of the whole pub, provides ample enough cover for anyone who wishes to leave the place unnoticed. Let's see, what is the last update we have here? Yeah, they are disagreeing. Damn it, did I do the wrong choice here? Because I really thought we could get her to come with us. If we emphasized it was dangerous, she could always fight back with, I know it's dangerous, but it's always going to be dangerous, let me do this. When Ashley showed up at the pub's main lounge again, he found Isabella alone in a corner. She hesitantly brought up the idea of going back to the mansion. Despite agreeing, he insisted she would only put herself at risk. Although she acquiesced, dismay was clear in her face. And that is where I'll leave for today's episode. In the next episode, I'm assuming we're going back to the mansion, finally doing some actual investigating. Now, let's see. There's only 4 people left now, 5 people. Okay, it's a lot of people. Only 2 have died after all. But we're gonna meet possibly Marianne, but also Hannah and Luke. And the question is, are we gonna leave Isabella here in the city and just let her be by herself? That's gonna be troublesome. If you want to see how this whole thing turns out, you have to come back in the future. And remember, just because you're not the main character, it doesn't mean you're not important. Goodbye, everyone.